In a world of Johnnies, Timmies, and Spikes, we must all arrive at the win condition.
Hello again, and welcome back to the Win Condition Podcast, your source for lore, news, and brews in the Magic the Gathering community. My name is Sean, I'm your host. I'm joined with my co-host, Greg. How's it going, Greg?
Doing good today.
Excellent. Well, it's been about a month since we've talked to you guys, and man, lots happened since we've last talked, huh, Greg?
There really has been a lot.
So we will do our best to kind of catch you up, fill you in on some of the highlights. But first, we want to remind everybody that this show is brought to you by, you guessed it, Flipside Gaming at flipsidegaming.com, where every order you make over $10, drop that promo code WINCONDITION in all caps to save yourself 10% off your purchase, which will help contribute to future show giveaways. And Greg, I think we have one of those to announce later in
I
this
think
episode?
we do. I'm pretty sure we ironed stuff and we made decisions. It's like we adulted.
Our giveaway is, in fact, wrinkle-free. Our ironing boards are still intact. We have ironed out everything that you will need to know to enter into our contest and win some sweet, sweet prizes. So,
Could it be cardboard?
oh, it's, more than likely going to be cardboard. Probably have some
Okay.
ink on it.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, before we get off too far, Greg, what have you been doing in terms of any kind of playing of the game Magic the Gathering in the recent past?
Jeez, I've been doing a lot, actually. I mean, usually I play my EDH on my Mondays, which has been good. Built a Joda Planeswalker deck. It's kind of fun.
Ooh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah. Kind of casual. Didn't want to make it combo-y.
What did you have in mind when you built it? What's the magical Christmas land in that deck?
Christmas Land?
Yes. What is your
doubling
turn?
season? I literally just built it so I can play with planeswalkers.
Okay, that sounds good.
I think I'm running 20 right now.
And I like how you're building that 5-color deck because everybody was building a Traxa Planeswalkers for a while.
Yep.
That did exclude red, and red does have some pretty sweet Planeswalkers.
You know what? There was 2 cards that I wanted to play with that I had that made me build this deck.
Yes. What is that?
It was the partner Planeswalkers from Battleborn.
Oh.
Rowan and Will Kenrith.
Yeah. Yeah, those guys are
So
pretty
those were the real reason.
nice.
And then it just happened I had an Ugin and a Karn sitting around, so...
Oh, they're pretty good. They're okay.
Yeah.
They're pretty decent. Yeah.
Both of the fairies pretty beast in that deck, though.
Oh, yeah, it's a fairy. I mean, I hear he's pretty good. Just okay.
Well, I'm not running the new Teferi. I just put in a Time Bender. Well, got a Time Bender to put in there.
Oh,
But
okay.
his Oath is really strong, being able to double activate Planeswalkers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Cool, man. Good to hear. So.
Before we get too far away from this.
Yeah.
I've played some Standard.
What? Standard.
So I've got a friend. He went down to Mexico for the GP about a month ago.
Si, senor.
Yeah, he's got a friend in high places. Go figure. Anyhow, he went out there. He played. He did really well in day 1. They got him in his sealed deck. They got him, of course, English cards. So he gets to day 2 and he gets to the draft and he punts the draft because everything in the draft is in Spanish.
Oh, man. And he didn't have all the cards memorized based on the pictures. Ooh.
You got it. So he's been playing a bunch of Standard, so he's built some Standard decks, and I've been playtesting against him. He's trying to make this really cool Sultai mid-rangey deck using Surveil and Explore.
Oh, I love Sultai.
And it's pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah. but it had nothing against what's that guy's name? My friend knows him. Like literally, he's the reason why he plays Magic. Oh yeah, LSV.
Oh, okay. You know,
Yeah, I know people.
it's been a minute since we've had Sultai be strong in standard.
Yeah.
I think the last time we had that there was a Sultai energy deck when you had
Oh
like
yeah.
hostage taker and some other stuff.
I don't know. I'm excited. The Horizon. There's those black red decks.
Oh yeah. Little
Anyhow,
Rakdos love.
anyhow,
Anyhow.
we don't need to talk about decks here.
Yeah.
We wait until Brews.
We have a segment for that later, yeah.
We do. We do.
But speaking of segments, why don't we hop on in and talk about a character that is quite relevant in Standard and the storyline? Let's jump on into Lore Corner.
What?
Yeah.
Do we have information on that?
We do have information on that. Let's go down to the field and see what we have. Thanks, Sean, for sending me down to the field here. We're going to talk about Ral Zarek, the Planeswalker. Greg, do you want to kick us off here talking about Mr. Zarek?
So, as you already know, Ral Zarek is a blue and red aligned planeswalker native to the city plane of Ravnica. He is a high-ranking guild mage, currently known as a viceroy in the Izzet League. He's gotten pretty high up there, but he's definitely been hiding the fact that he's a planeswalker from Niv Mizzet this entire time, which it's been a challenge. He's never really looked to the Ancient Dragon as a role model or mentor, but more as a nuisance and possibly an adversary.
When you've got the most intelligent dragon, well, one of the most intelligent dragons you've ever met, as your adversary, that could kind of cause some problems.
Yeah.
So, we're just gonna run through some of the history here of Ral Zarek. So he was the chief researcher investigating the ancient codes laid out in the 10th district, the ley lines and secrets that made up the implicit maze that fascinated his guildmaster. That, of course, being Niv Mizzet. Deep into the project, Ral's efforts took him underground to the most ancient catacombs of the Undercity with his goblin attendant Skreeg. He was drawn by the potency of the ley lines, the invisible bands of energy running deep beneath Ravnica's heights. Unfortunately for many involved, the Izzet team ran afoul of the Golgari swarm, who insisted that any unclaimed territory was their own. Unclaimed territory. When Ral refused, right?
That was a bad one.
I know. When he refused to be cowed by the Golgari threats, the swarm of shamans raised the myriad dead to drive them out of the tunnels or murder them, whichever was most expedient. His team overwhelmed Ral using the mana coils, a device meant to track the ley lines, as a power source, funneling the entire energy of a ley line through his elemental gauntlets. It blew apart virtually everything in the tunnels, leaving only himself and several of his Izzet accomplices standing. This added the Golgari swarm to the ever-growing list of guilds concerned about the Izzet activity. Luckily, the explosion had the unintended side effect of exposing the pattern Ral's party had been looking for in the first place. Hey! Stumble into discovery. Several days later, in search of the Dimir Gate, Ral and his goblin assistant caught the attention of Jace Beleren. Their activity had drawn the young telepath to the Izzet's goals, and he had begun his own line of research. As they were followed, the pair made directly for Izzet territory, where they gave their report directly to Niv Mizzet, who detected their erstwhile shadow. Ral continued his research, his attentions drawn vertically as the ley lines rose into the sky. As his quest continued, Ral became more and more reckless and less inclined to let anything stand in his way. When the ley line crossed an Azorius Eyrie, Ral took the most immediate solution he could think of, summoning a massive storm elemental to wreak havoc across the tower, forcing a confrontation with the Azorius occupying it. A short battle ensued, with Ral one step closer to his goal. Woo! What a rascal! Just doing his thing.
Man.
Not really caring too much. And you can see in the artwork for the original Ral Zarek, his equipment helping harness that energy from the ley lines to be used for his own personal gain, whatever that may be. So a very powerful dude, able to harness that energy.
Yeah, he is. So, as we continue forward, looking through the things that Ral has done, the next step is searching for Jace. As Ral reported to Niv Mizzet, he had traced the mana breeds through every Tory excluding Orzhov and Simic. The massive casualties of the people under his command finally roused the ire of the Great Dragon, and Ral was taken from the project under threat of being devoured. Yeah, eaten. Niv was then assigned Ral the task of tracking down the mage who had touched his mind. Ral was to find Jace. The guildmates began by finding Bellerin's sanctum, but mostly found not but ashen rumors. Within those ashes, though, he knew the secrets of Bellerin's research remained, and weaving a complicated spell, he learned what Jace had sought to destroy and how close he had come to solving the riddle of the implicit maze. So close that he felt he didn't even need Niv anymore. Ooh. Using Jace's notes, Ral traced the patterns of the maze, finally tracing it to the Forum of Azor. Oh man, it's like we know that guy.
Yeah, right?
The place had teemed with power, but it seemed utterly inaccessible. Ral was left dumbstruck, unable to cope with the failure and bridling with resentment over everything he was denied. Left with little choice, he reported back to his guildmaster. The dragon patiently explained that the maze had been built by Azor not to test the brightest or most powerful, nor to grant power to either of those. It was a failsafe in the event if the guild pack was ever disrupted. Talk about weird.
Right? So instead of being a test, it's just sort of a distraction in case the worst happened. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
It may have happened. So, all right. Well, speaking of the implicit maze, Niv Mizzet revealed that the only way the maze would activate is if every guild took part in its activation. And to facilitate that, he sent Ral to reveal nearly everything they had worked on to the other guilds. Once his task was accomplished, Ral returned to Nivix and began preparing to run the maze. However, Niv Mizzet revealed that he was not to be chosen. Instead, working to produce the ideal champion, a weird they dubbed Melek. Yes, a weird is a type of creature. Wroth, Ral objected, but was ultimately silenced by his draconic guildmaster. Ral was still chosen to accompany Melek and act as the coordinator for the event. The assembled champions declared themselves and their allegiance, but as Melek stepped to declare himself, Ral absorbed the weird's essence into his gauntlet, effectively murdering the rightful champion. What a nice guy. Without an alternative, he declared himself the Izzet Maze Runner and began the race with a surprise attack upon every other entrant. He easily made his way through the gates and finally waited for Jace to show up at the Izzet Guild Gate. There, he forced the telepath to tell Amara Tandris the truth about being a planeswalker, an act that cost Jace dearly. For Jace's perceived slights against him, Ral planned to end the other planeswalker, but he was ultimately foiled when Jace used his illusions to escape Ral's justice. In quotes, justice. Ral eventually found his way to the Forum of Azor once more, just as Lazav arrived and drove each of the other champions into fighting. The maze prepared to execute the contingency that would wipe away the guilds and all of the 10th district when Jace reached out to each of them with his telepathy, uniting them mentally and stopping the destruction Ral and the others were going to unleash. Man, I mean, Jace is kind of a nice guy when it comes down to it. Sure, he's a little emo, but man, he's
I mean, he's not that much anymore.
No. No. Well,
No,
it
no.
depends on who's writing the story, but that's a different topic entirely. Yeah. What's next?
Well, the next part is odd partners. So this is shortly after this. Curious about the now living guild pact, because Jace had become the guild pact, that had foiled his plans, and Mizet set Ral the task to trace Jace and research his many sudden disappearances. As we know, Jace is a planeswalker, and he walks off plane, leaving Lavinia to deal with everything. Despite Okay, when his coworker, the Chamberlain Marie, came close to exposing the existence of planeswalkers, Ral had to work together with Jace to successfully distract the Firemine. Despite loss of funding, Project Lightning Bug continued to show when a planeswalker entered or left Ravnica. As a result, Ral learned that a group of 4 planeswalkers had come to dwell on Ravnica, as well as the presence of the criminal planeswalker Vraska. Noticing that Vraska seemed to planeswalk into a void, Ral met with Jace in Arachdos Carnarium to alert him to this danger. He warned Jace not to leave Ravnica for some time, only to be interrupted by Liliana Veth, who reported that she had seen Tezzeret on Kaladesh. Jace then fetched Gideon and left Ravnica behind against Ral's better judgment.
Ooh.
Now, I'm going to cut into this because
Yes.
we know what happened in between here. Jace is on Kaladesh and then shortly goes over to the other plane
Amonkhet.
known as Ixalan on the behest of Ugin's mind
Like
alteration.
like a trap, like a tripwire.
Yeah. So a lot of things ended up happening, and then of course, the Gatewatch got destroyed on Amonkhet with the collection of his Eternal Army. He then set Tezzeret to fetch Ral in his name. It looks like Ral has schemed to take control of the Izzet League on Ravnica, which we see currently as Ral Izzet Viceroy.
Right. And at the end of that storyline on Amonkhet, when Bolas sends for him, it just raised so many questions. Because we had never really dove into who is Ral Zarek until we heard his name again. I've always thought of him as kind of this cool Izzet planeswalker. One of the very few, Saheeli being another one. But he's a very compelling character. I love his original planeswalker card. And I am so excited to see how he is gaming against the Izzet League. I have a feeling that Nicol Bolas knows of Niv Mizzet, sees him as a threat, and needs to get a little bit of infiltration into that guild. And Ral seems to be a planeswalker powerful enough to do that, but still manipulatable under Bolas's, clutches. So, this is going to be interesting because he's also got Liliana with him. Bolas does. And
Yeah.
We'll just have to wait and see what happens in the story to come. So that's Ral Zarek, everybody. Did we want to mention what he does in any of his cards? Because
I mean, I think that's a given, guys.
I think so too. Just the real quick little story about the original Ral Zarek Planeswalker card. I was so infatuated with this guy. I actually built a standard deck that was Teamer, and I did get the chance to bust out his ultimate and flip coins, each one of them coming up heads, taking 5 extra turns, to which my opponent just scooped. It was it was pretty awesome, not gonna lie.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I've gotten a couple weird triggers off of him and just kind of yeah.
Well, I would
sweet.
I would have to say, okay, you know what? We're just gonna read it. The original Ral Zarek Planeswalker card, for those who might not know, is from Dragon's Maze years ago. Arguably one of the worst sets in modern history, but Ral Zarek, 2, a blue and a red for a 4 loyalty Planeswalker Ral. His +1, tap target permanent, then untap another target permanent. I must say this is my favorite to use in EDH when untapping things like Mana Vault and
Oh, come
tapping.
on. What about the Chain Veil?
You could do the Chain Veil, absolutely, and then just tapping down your opponent's biggest threats, clearing the way for yourself. Or if you're doing that Inspire thing from Theros, not as cool. But anyway, untapping your stuff is awesome. -2, Ral Zarek deals 3 damage to target creature or player. It's a lightning bolt. You can use it twice before he kills himself, but that's pretty cool. And then his ultimate, -7, flip 5 coins. Take an extra turn after this one for each coin that comes up heads. Now I wonder if this card saw an increase in popularity and value with the release of Battle Bond. Because didn't they?
Oh yeah, definitely.
What were those partner legendary creatures? I completely forget.
Okon and Zinder Split.
There you go. Coin flipping extraordinaire.
And then we also got a bunch of coin flip cards with that. The biggest one going up was definitely Clark's Thumb jumping from a 50 cents to a whopping $15, if I remember correctly.
Gosh, I think you're right.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ral is a really cool dude. If you're into Izzet, definitely check him out. And that'll kind of bring us to a close for this week's edition of Lore Corner. Now
It will.
we have quite a bit to talk to, so let's make haste and jump into our news and announcement segment as foretold.
What? You got news and announcements?
Heck yeah, we do. So, Greg, there's a new set that's coming out sometime soon. You wanna
Yeah.
tell us a little bit
Specifically
about that?
December 7th. You guys might have heard about what ended up happening the week, the Friday before the announcement, 2 weeks ago. We got Ultimate Masters, the last of the Masters sets at the time. And it is a spicy meatball.
Yes, it is.
Not only do you get cards like Karn and Liliana the Veil and
Engineered
Tarmogoyf
explosives?
again. I mean, there's so many. It's really hard to just say them all. But there's also the box topper, which is going to have this extended side art. So those are going to be really cool that you get one in a box. Now these boxes are going to be $335. That's right, 24 packs at $14 a piece to equate down to that $335. That's a lot of money to spend on cardboard.
Is. It really, really is.
But looking at this set, everything that's been downgraded, upgraded, moved around, and just put into it, this is a great set.
Oh, absolutely.
It literally is a ultimate version of all the Masters. Few highlights, of course, is that Gamble with breaches in the art.
Yep.
New art Golgari Grave Troll.
Yep.
You got that new art Through the Breach and Glenalandra Archmage. Goryo's Vengeance. Reprint of Vexing Devil in anticipation for Pelt Collector and Modern.
That's going to be cool. And a Fauna Shaman reprint.
Oh, man, I'm more excited for that Pattern of Rebirth.
Pattern of Rebirth is definitely a good one. Oh, yeah. I mean, you got Noble Hierarch.
Mm-hmm.
You got Karakas. You got Tarmogoyf, Snapcaster Mage, and Vengevine. Like, there's so many.
Whoa. What about that Urborg?
Oh, yeah. That card's been steady creeping up as well. And let's not forget the card that everyone thought was on the reserve list, but guess what? It's not. It's Back to Basics, getting its first ever reprint. What was it, like a $70 card? Somewhere around there?
It was pretty dumb.
Oh, yeah. So, I think the overwhelming thought from this set is
did you forget about a 3-drop artifact?
Oh, you know what, Greg? They have been, not they, Jason Alt has been begging for this reprint time and time again. Greg, what card is this?
I don't know. I think it's Phyrexian Altar.
Ah!
That had that ancient tomb.
Oh
my
yeah.
gosh. So much good. So much good.
Let's take a quick look at the flavor text for this Phyrexian Altar, because ya boy right here made a comment when Phyrexian Scriptures came out and said, "Does that look like a Phyrexian Altar to you?" Yeah, I thought they might have been reprinting it as a Mythic in Dominaria, but here we are. And the flavor text here says, "Unskin these impure bodies, great Yawgmoth, that the flesh may welcome your blessings." A quote from Phyrexian Scriptures. Oh my God! Called it again. What is going on? This is ridiculous. I love it.
I mean, are we good about that or something? I don't know.
If you want the previews before the previews of what's going to be in the next few sets, you got to listen to the Win Condition podcast, because we are future sighted fortune telling Magic players. So just in case you didn't know, freaking A, dude, Cavern of Souls getting another reprint.
This deck is chock full.
Oh yeah.
So much good. And then of course, if you haven't looked at the prettiness down below, we're looking on Mythic Spoiler, of course, and you can see those extended art cards. Personally, I need to get that Tassiger.
Oh
so
man,
bad.
I've been hearing a lot of people say they're not happy about it because of the lack of bananas. But you know what? It's extended art. You know, who cares? I'll take my extended art.
It looks good to me if you ask me.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think the much needed reprints on these man lands, especially that Celestial Colonnade, was a long time coming. And sure, it's in a Masters set, and it's not going to be that Mana Vault too. Speaking of Mana Vault.
So I got a friend that got one of those.
Okay, well, Greg.
And I was going to talk about that.
How did he already get one? The set's not even out yet. What's going on?
So, as you all know, there was the Mythic Masterpiece. I may be butchering the name right now for Guilds of Ravnica. That was 8 Planeswalkers in the extended art borderless foil premium. All the cool, right?
Oh, yeah. Right?
So, if you didn't know, Wizards' site crashed on the day they went public with that, so they can sell them. And everybody was queued up, essentially. Like, you can have it in your thing, you can be ready to do it, and you just go buy. And if you're lucky enough, you got to be one of the few thousand and got one. If you're unlucky enough, you got shut out of the system and didn't know until 3 hours later when the system was back up that you didn't get one. There were a lot of unhappy people, and I mean, we're talking hundreds.
Yep.
Maybe even thousands. So, a few weeks back, say probably about 3 weeks these got shipped out, the people that were in queue got shipped a letter that said, essentially, "We of Wizards of the Coast did not plan for this many people being interested in it. We only expected a few hundred, not thousands." So with this, we give you a pack, a single card pack, and it says Ultimate Box Topper. Now, these people are like, what the heck? And what? A card? So people started opening them up and getting Emrakul and Karn and Liliana of the Veil, Snapcasters, and all these are foil premiums, and they're posting them on Reddit, and everybody's like, what the heck is UMA? Is this like something, a premium all set? Nobody knew. Wizards came out and said, we're going to tell you on Monday. So that following Monday, Ultimate Masters got announced.
Yep.
The Masters set to end all Masters sets until they decide they want to make more money.
Until further notice, this is the final Masters set, and let me tell you, they are trying their hardest to go out with a bang, both in terms of value in the set and the bang effect on your wallet. I mean, this is the most expensive set that they have printed so far, that they are selling boxes of, that they are selling packs of, and, you know, there's a lot of people that think the value is there. You know, if you buy your box at, what, 300 plus, and
335,
and you get your box topper, which probably will have an average value of somewhere between $70 to $100. I don't know. That's going to take a massive chunk out of your box already. Now, if you're lucky enough to pull one or two really good high dollar
Mythics?
cards, yeah, that's going to really just jet the value. 'Cause the potential for this set is huge. You could open, and not to mention, if you open a good foil rare or good foil mythic, that's going to be worth a ton of money. Especially
Foil
if
Tarm.
you open a foil back to basics, that could be huge.
It really could be. That
really
there's
huge.
currently no number on those.
Yep.
I can almost guarantee you people are probably trying to sell it at like $600-700 pre-sale.
Yep.
Because they're going to open up like 20 cases.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that, you know, if you can afford to get into this set, I mean, first of all, it's going to be fun. If you were to draft this set, it looks like a ton of fun. And it's going to it's going to do what Masters sets do, which is decrease the price of the card for a few months. And then the demand is going to be there. The card price is going to shoot right back up. However many times they've reprinted Noble Hierarch, which is what, one? Is it only one time?
I think
or
it's
two
4.
time? 4?
It's like 2 or 3, some number. Good numbers.
This card's still like $80. It's crazy.
How much is Tarmogoyf with its 9-ish printing?
Is that still in the $200 range, or is it actually?
No, I think it's like 80s.
Okay.
But still, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And even for a card that doesn't get played.
Right. I mean, even Ancient Tomb was getting up there too. And Engineered Explosives, like I was saying, that's like Chalice of the Void level, you know. And anyway, so all in all, Greg, how do you feel about this set? Are you happy? Are you excited?
I am waffling.
You're waffling. Well, we
Yeah.
like waffles, but I mean,
I'm kind of flipping. I'm flip-flopping. I'm getting burned on both sides. Like, I'm happy. I'm excited for these cards, but I'm also really upset at Wizards for it.
why would you be upset at Wizards for this, Greg? Please educate us.
Well, as we already know, Wizards is not supposed to be interested in any way in the secondary market.
True.
This is a slap in the face for anybody that does have money invested in the secondary market.
How so?
And anybody that isn't. So, the fact that they're releasing a Masters set at a higher price point. I mean, we're talking an additional $100 more than the last Masters set.
For a box.
For a box.
Right.
That's $100 more. You could buy a box of Guilds of Ravnica for that price.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just the fact that this is no different for them to print than the last Masters set. There's really no reason for it to be more expensive.
Sure.
And yet it is.
Now,
And Wizards continues to say that they have no interest in the secondary market. Now, the fact that they printed this and are selling it at a higher price point means they are looking at the secondary market so that they don't kill it.
sure.
And that's why it burns me, is because they're not supposed to deal with the secondary market in any way because they shouldn't care. They always get their money.
So are you suggesting that they should print this set but sell it at a standard price?
I mean, with how they're printing out Masters sets previously, I'd be fine with that price point. The fact that they're charging more on this is what is annoying.
Sure.
And it's kind of awkward being the fact we've actually had all foil sets that were cheaper.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Are you talking about the premium Alara block?
Yeah.
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 And those were priced at the same as what? they were $11.99 a pack.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was all foil. I mean, if this was all foil, I'd be talking a completely different story.
Sure. Well, let me bring you back
But we're not.
a little closer to home here. How did you feel about Battle Bond?
I mean, Battle Bond was excellent, but a part of that's because I really like Two-Headed Giant.
Well, yeah, sure, but I mean, you want to talk about price points in the secondary market? You still had cards in there like, what was it, doubling
Land
season,
tax, doubling
land
season.
tax. You had some
Now,
very high
now,
price cards.
doubling season has been altered. It has dropped. I mean, they're averaging around $20.
Okay, sure, but still, like, doubling season was not always $20. There was a
No, there was a
time where it
time they were
was.
$50.
Oh yeah. Well, even before that, I mean, doubling season took off in the last, I don't know, 10 or so years, maybe even 8 years. But before that, I want to say doubling season was around $10 or something like that a long time
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
But the point is, if Wizards, instead of going down this Masters Series road where they jack the price up on all these packs and all these boxes, if they instead started making sets that were more like Battle Bond, that were ancillary products, but still could be played in a limited environment that was fun and competitive, but included one or two or maybe even three high-priced cards and then flushed out the rest with a little more watered down, still decent cards and made a good play experience. But you know what I mean? Like, you would still charge, the $4 price pack from a normal pack or something like that.
Yeah.
Boxes could be $100. Like, they could get this done, And I don't think that you would have a problem with players if they were guaranteed to get, alongside a standard set release. If you released an ancillary set that just focused on, like you said, Two-Headed Giant, or maybe they incorporate Emperor or a new format or something like that.
Right.
There's so many possibilities out there, and if you want to get these boxes and these packs sold and Wizards really making some good money, you got to look at what makes them more money, these standard sets or these master sets. Because if they are in fact making more money on these master sets, then what the heck are they doing by stopping production on them? If you stop
Well,
something
I
that
think
makes
what
you more
ended up
money,
happening is
that's ridiculous.
this year specifically, Masters got beaten to a pulp. We had iconic Masters, Masters 25, and they did not go well.
True. Well,
Yeah.
well, Iconic Masters technically hit last year, but yeah, you're right. Within the span of 12 months, you get 3 master sets. Like, that's pretty ridiculous. I think this is supposed to, like you said, sort of make up for lost time with the other master sets,
Yeah,
sure.
but
So that when they do bring it back, because they will, it's not like this is the last master set ever, just for the foreseeable future. When they do bring it back, it's going to come back just like this one, where you've got all these cards that are going to be so insanely powerful, very expensive. Everyone's going to want to buy it, but like I'm saying, if you provide distributors with a third or a quarter as much product with these master sets as you do with standard sets, are you really making that much more money, than if you were to just mass produce a standard set? I don't know. But I think that Battle Bond was a great case study in getting a standard priced set out there with good cards included. So, I don't know. I think that there's plenty of avenues for Wizards to go down, plenty of space to explore by being able to deliver reprints. Because they said they're not going to reprint a lot of very powerful modern staples and modern cards in standard product. Ever since Thoughtseize and
Yeah.
Fetchlands came back, it's been kind of lackluster in terms of getting modern staples back in standard. But we'll see. We'll see what they do moving on forward here. Well, was there anything else you wanted to touch on for UMA before we moved on, Greg?
No, I'm excited for it. I'm not buying boxes though.
Oh, boxes. Jeez, you must be like a baller. Like, oof. Yeah, if you're lucky enough to get a box, like, that's enough for me.
I mean, I think my store is getting 30 cases.
That's pretty good. Sounds like you guys will have some drafts of UMA going. That
Yeah,
would be fun.
they're thinking of doing it at like $60.
Yeah. that's hefty, man. That's really
Well, but I think the idea is that first place gets the box topper.
Ooh, that's a good prize.
Right?
Definitely worth it. Oh, and Greg, I'm sorry. Did you want to mention anything in terms of rarity shifting, enabling any
You know,
cards in particular
there.
to be accessible in different formats?
Well, you know what? I think we looked at that, and I saw that most of them had already been shifted.
Oh,
But
okay.
we do see things like Apprentice Necromancer no longer being a rare. It's going to be an uncommon going forward.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of good cards. Magma is no longer a rare. There's just a lot of things that have been downshifted, and I'm very happy about it.
Yeah. And then just some seriously powerful staple cards, including
Oh, yeah.
Unburial Rights and Faithless Looting. I mean, those didn't see a rarity shift, but just seeing as they're included in the set is going to make for an extremely powerful play experience.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So,
So before we move into the next one, there was something you wanted to talk about with the Pro Tour.
oh yeah, okay. So, it's been a few weeks, but we did have a pro tour this last weekend, or
Yeah.
2 weekends ago. Apologies. Super fun to watch. There was a lot of Boros aggro that took place at this tournament. Mostly white weenie with a little bit of splashing of red. And again, very fun to watch. But specifically, there was one event in particular that has been ruffling a lot of feathers. People are very opinionated. It's kind of polarizing the populace of players in the Magic community.
That's a
But
particularly paltry person.
oh, and it's a very potent place to perceive. So yeah, the semifinals featured a situation where Luis Scott Vargas had a settle the wreckage in his hand, and he was trying to get his opponent to attack with all of his creatures, which he would then, get to settle the wreckage, exiling his opponent's attacking creatures, paving the way for his victory to just march back in and deal lethal damage. So, the way this went down was Luis had the card in hand. His opponent had access to deck lists, so he knew that there was at least one Settle the Wreckage in Luis's deck. So, he had to be thinking it's a possibility. Now, what Luis did right before the opponent was attacking was he started to count. He started to count attackers. He started to count blockers. He started to, say, if I tap this mana to pump out a token using my Adanto's First Fort, which is a 1/1 lifelinking vampire, who can I block? Where's the life total is going to go? All under the guise of having the Settle the Wreckage in his hand. All he wants to do is just bait his opponent into attacking with everything. And lo and behold, as he reached for a vampire token to place on the battlefield to start organizing his blocks, his opponent turns his creatures sideways, swings in for the attack, and as soon as his fingers leave the cards, Luis throws the token away, taps his mana, settles the wreckage, hands are extended, game is over. So I think the overwhelming majority of reaction is that this was this was a good move. This was a great move, but there are some who say that this was kind of scummy and not the way you should be playing Magic. Greg, I want to get your take first on this. How do you feel about Luis's insane Settle the Wreckage play at Pro Tour Guilds of Ravnica?
I mean, top deck Chaos Orb? I mean, we've seen this over and over again where tensions are high. If they don't pull it out, they lose the game, right?
Yep.
This is why we watch Pro Tour.
Yep.
This is why we enjoy watching the pros play, because they do the things that you would never do.
Yep.
And I think this is
Or
just
do the things
fine.
that you
It isn't
dream of
scummy.
doing.
This isn't scummy at all. No.
No. I agree with you 100%. When you
I mean, the game of Magic has and always will be a game of playing your opponent.
Exactly. You ask any skilled Magic player, and a lot of them will describe the game of Magic as chess meets poker, because there's a lot of strategy, a lot of planning ahead, many moves in advance, as well as a lot of reading your opponent and bluffing to get them to play the cards when you want them to play them, so that you can play your cards when you want to play them. So I just tip my hat time and time again. Luis Scott Vargas made an amazing read, an amazing play, baited his opponent properly, and just proves once again why he is so good at this game. And if you are out there and you find ways to bait your opponent into casting spells or attacking or doing stuff that you want them to do to make your gameplay easier, I just say go for it. You know, anything short of just straight cheating, like obviously that's a whole different story, but if you talk to them, if you present scenarios, if you get them thinking in the right mindset, go for it, man. That's how you play the game. It's magic.
Really is.
Yeah.
Now, you're going to get some people that are going to say, oh, that's cheating. And you know what? Yeah. In some people's ideas, yeah.
But it's like, I remember when I used to play Street Fighter 2 for Super Nintendo way back in the day, and people would say, oh, if you throw someone, you're cheating. You know, it's cheap. You know, why would you throw? It's like, it's in the game. You have to game for it. You have to anticipate it. That's why certain people are so good at this game. You know, They analyze it, they look at it, they live it, they breathe it, they study it. So much so to the point that if you don't game plan for that, then you're the one making the mistake. So, yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, awesome Pro Tour. And just so that you all know, and we keep you up to date on your current Pro Tour champion, Andrew Ellenbogen is your current Pro Tour champion. He took down Pro Tour Guilds of Ravnica with another Boros aggro deck. And what I love about these Boros aggro decks is they're relatively inexpensive in terms of standard games.
Well, I mean, if you really get into them, they're playing for that Ascend game, right?
Yes. Yeah, Ascend, of course, being a mechanic where if you have 10 or more permanents on the battlefield under your control, you get the City's Blessing, which powers up a lot of your different cards. So,
Oh, that's really funny. His deck did not have the Ajani's Pridemate in it.
no.
Instead,
no.
he was running Snubhorn Sentry and the Venerated Loxodon.
Yep. Well, if you got a chance to watch the finals, it was extremely rough on Luis. I believe it was 2 games apiece because it's best 3 out of 5. It went to the 5th game, and Luis mulliganed his first hand, his second hand, and his third hand. He mulled down to 4 cards in the 5th game. And when you're playing an aggressive deck that is banking on emptying their hand and turning your cards sideways, that's not going to get the job done.
Yeah.
So that part was pretty rough. But overall, the event was incredibly fun to watch. And like I said, Boros Aggro, you're looking at roughly $300 to buy this entire deck. And this is a Pro Tour winning deck. Down in 5th place, or 6th place? Maybe 7th place.
Are you talking about Blue Red Drakes?
No, I was talking about Jeskai Control, because Jeskai Control fetching a $550 price tag.
I've got 470 here.
Okay. Teferi obviously commands a huge price tag, and when you have 4 of them in your deck, that's a cool 6, 12, 8, $240 alone for that one card. I'm sorry, 4 cards.
Oh man, this deck looks sweet. Man, this is gonna tie into something later.
So, well then, why don't?
But before we get into decks, I mean, come on.
I was gonna say, do you want to take us there, Greg?
I mean, let's get into the Brewmaster's Lair.
Yes.
Crack a cold one.
Exactly. Get your brews ready. We're about to break it down. So, all right, Greg, go ahead. Talk to us about this brew here.
So this is Reed Duke's deck, and I think he's in the 17th to the 32nd place. And he was playing black-green mid-range. Now this deck I find this really interesting because it's taking advantage of Explorer, and to beat those really aggressive white and red decks, and even some of the blue ones that are out there, he's utilizing the card Wild Growth Walker, which is a 1/3 for 2 that says whenever a creature you control explores, not only does it get a 1/1 counter, you gain 3 life.
That's so good.
So they're using things like Seeker Squire, Merfolk Branchwalker, and Jadelight Ranger to explore out their deck. Then they're going to use cards like Ogari Finebroker to get them back and replay them after they've died to small things. And of course, being the fact History of Benalia is so predominant, Thrashing Bronodon is there in the main.
Yes. That Thrashing Bronodon is such a good card.
And then there's also that new super secret tech, Find and Finality.
Yep.
Which Find allows you to get 2 creatures from your graveyard back to your hand, or give a creature you control +2/+2 and 1/1 counters, and then give all creatures -4/-4.
It's a pretty good board wipe.
I think this deck is really cute. They're in the side that Ritual is to deal with those really aggressive decks that they just can't deal with. Doom Whisperers, Deathgord Scavenger, pretty much all the things you would need to deal with the current meta.
Right.
And those decks, I mean, what is it? They're $400. They're pretty cheap.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
How do you feel about the 3 Carnage Tyrants and the 1 Assassin's Trophy?
It's really funny. Assassin's Trophy is super bad in Standard. Mostly because you're ramping. So when you go into that tempo deck that's trying to get to that 6-drop and you make it so they can get it on turn 5 without their ramp, I don't know. I don't want to see a Carnage Tyrant early. Or a Palaka Worm. Heck, my buddy's trying that one out in the side so he can try it out against aggro.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're anticipating a field full of Boros aggro, I think what he's thinking here is he's just going to go slightly bigger with his creatures and try to win that battle. But at the same time, I got to think with 3 Vraska's Contempts, that's not really gonna cut the mustard in a field full of 1/1s and 2/2s. I would almost say maybe less Vraska's Contempts and more Cast Downs, not necessarily even Assassin's Trophies. Because if you're going to be able to take down your opponent's Benalish Marshal, then your Branchwalkers, Jadelight Rangers, and even Thrashing Brontodons sometimes get outsized. It'll make them all the more effective.
Yeah.
Because, that Benalish Marshal, especially when you drop the second one in the same game, gets out of hand real fast. Ooh. Is that a Doom Whisperer or 2 in the sideboard?
Yeah. There's a lot of them that are doing Doom Whisperer in the side because they don't want to run in the main because it's really, really bad game 1 against aggro.
Yeah. No, I
Because
agree.
most of the time, yeah, sure, you get a 6/6. The aggro deck hasn't taken any damage from you because they've either killed off all your dudes or dealt into all of them.
Right.
And you're like, Doom Whisperer. And you're like, okay, so you're at 8, and I'm at 20.
Yeah.
You can hit me 3 times, and I'm not going to care.
Right. I do like the Moment of Craving in the sideboard. That seems like a particularly effective card. Again, only 1, though. I feel like a little bit more...
Some of the decks are running more.
Yeah, I feel like a little more cheap removal would have been beneficial in this meta. But, it's come and gone, so maybe next time.
Well, we'll have to see, because the funny thing is that everybody is going and making these decks.
Yep.
And they're going to be really bad because every pro player that's playing this has already designed the deck that beats it.
Yeah. Yep. Well, why don't we actually, not to go too far, but just a little compare and contrast, go up to Makihito Mihara's black-green mid-range deck that took 10th place, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like it's around 10th.
4 Carnage Tyrants.
Right.
That's
4
insane.
Druid of the Cowl. Do you see that?
Oh yeah, well those are
And
there
4
for that
Lawnmowers.
Carnage Tyrant.
He is literally just trying to ramp into Vivians and Carnage Tyrants.
Yep, exactly. 2 Karn, Scion of Urza. Wow.
Don't forget about the 2 Vraska's Contempts and an Eldest Reborn.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Eldest Reborn is such a powerful card. There's those fine finalities again. 1 Assassin's Trophy and 1 Cast Down.
Hey, what do you see in the sideboard?
I'm not sure the motivation behind that. I'm going to go ahead and say there's those Wild Growth Walkers.
Yep.
There's the Argyl's Bloodfast. But are you talking about that?
Oh, no, I was definitely talking about the Wild Growth Walker.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's cute to see, like, Golden Demise in there and the Eldest Reborn.
Yeah.
But the Wild Growth Walkers in the side against aggro is just so strong.
Yeah. And it's interesting to me that this build finished higher than Reed Duke's build, which revolved a lot more around just getting the value low drop creatures out there. And then, like you said, this one just basically wants to Carnage Tyrant, Vivian, or bust. So,
now, if you go down 1 to a Mr. Michael Kundegraber,
yes.
and he's still running the 4 Carnage Tyrant, but he is also running the Doom Whisperers in the main.
Yes.
And he cuts down on Planeswalkers and just runs Vivian Reed along with a pair of Assassin's Trophies. Now, we used to see Vivian Reeds in the side. It's kind of interesting to now see them in the main.
Yeah. Yep. And then 2 Assassin's Trophies, 1 Cast Down, 2 Vraska's Contempts for the removal suite. I love seeing the nuance between these decks. Okay, so real quick, back to Doom Whisperer. Do you remember a card called Abyssal Persecutor?
Oh, yeah, I sure do.
6/6 flying trample for 4, if I'm not mistaken. We have a 6/6 flying trample with upside for just 1 more mana here. This Doom Whisperer is just a 6/6 flying trample for 5 is already insane. Yeah. And the fact that they stapled that Surveil on there too, oh my God, no reason why this card is $20 right now.
I think the reason why it only goes up 1 is that sure Surveil is an upside, but the fact that it costs life to do it makes it not as strong.
True. Oh yeah, if you could just Surveil for free, then yeah, that's crazy. And then why don't we talk, just because it was so prevalent in this tournament, let's go over one of the blue-red Drakes deck.
Oh, yeah. Cackling Drakes are great. Crackling.
Crackling Drakes, right. But I think the one of the main cards in any of these Izzet builds is that Arclight Phoenix.
Oh, yeah. That card's great.
Oh, yeah. So Arclight Phoenix.
Are you looking at Yuya's deck?
I am looking at Yuya's deck, absolutely. So
okay.
It is a 4-drop, although you never really pay 4 for it. 3/2 flying haste Phoenix that says at the beginning of combat on your turn, if you've cast 3 or more instant and sorcery spells this turn, return Arclight Phoenix from your graveyard to the battlefield. So when you're running Goblin Electromancer, making your spells cheaper, and then you've got cards like Chart a Course, Lava Coil, even Shock, Radical Idea. All these cards are more often than not going to only cost you 1 mana. So you're going to be able to, let's say turn 2 Goblin Electromancer, and then it's not within the realm of possibility to say next turn you Chart a Course for 1 blue, discard an Arclight Phoenix, Chart a Course again for a blue, discard an Arclight Phoenix. You could even do it again, discarding your third Arclight Phoenix, and then you proceed to combat, and you get 3 Arclight Phoenixes coming back and attacking for 9 on turn 3. Like, I know that's magical Christmas land, but that just seems insane. So, but why don't you talk to us more about Crackling Drake and why that's so good?
Well, the big part of why Crackling Drake is so good is that just letting it get you power and toughness equal instants and sorceries. Well, power. It's good. And it also looks at your exile. So all those jumpstart cards that you play, it's just better.
Yes. Oh,
And
that
then,
makes such a huge difference.
Yeah, and then it only gives you a card when it draws. Oh, wait. It draws you a card entering the battlefield. It gives you everything you want. It's just strong. It really is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then you add on the Enigma Drake right there below it.
Yep.
You get 2 of the same Drake. It's a lot of good. Just a lot of good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's so nice, and it's almost like a combo deck, and it's fun to see variation in Standard at such a high level of competition. So you can go to these, events with a Boros aggro deck, a blue-red Drake Phoenix deck, a black-green mid-range deck, a Jeskai control deck, and plan on winning.
Red, white weenie.
Yep.
Yeah, there's really just everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
It is a great time to be playing Standard. Highly recommend it for everybody. If you can, get out there, go draft, go play some F&M, and hopefully...
Now, there was something else before we leave.
Yes?
That happened last weekend with Grand Prix Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, we meant to talk about this in news, but we're going to bring it up here.
Yes. Yes, we are. So, let me pull that up here.
Well, while you pull that up, I want to talk about the guy that won Grand Prix Milwaukee, and that's Adrian Sullivan in his Jeskai control deck using Enigma Drakes, Niv Mizzet the Perun, Rekindling Phoenix, and a 3 of Teferi Hero Dominaria.
Nice.
So this is that $500 deck, and all it's doing is controlling the game until the point where they can get in there with Niv Mizzet, Rekindling Phoenix, or that Enigma Drake that gets giant late game.
Yes.
I mean, they're running 25 spells.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And those are all instants and sorceries, excluding the 4 of Treasure Map.
And I was going to say, Treasure Map really playing a big part in not only card selection, but that mana ramp late in the game. Like, it's just so good, especially when you can sacrifice the treasures for any color, and you're running like Niv Mizzet, where you need that color fixing.
Yeah.
That's so huge. Like, oh, man. And what was it? Some of these flip cards from Ixalan that turn into lands are actually becoming quite insane in terms of the mana ramp. Because even in the white weenie deck, if you're playing your Legion's Landing on turn 1 to get yourself a creature, and then on turn 2, you're dropping 2 more 1-drops. On turn 3, you can cast Aurelia by swinging in with 3 creatures, flipping your into Adantos the first 4.
Wait, Aurelia's a 4-drop? I thought she was a 5-drop.
Aurelia is a 4-drop. I watched Luis Scott Vargas cast Aurelia on turn 3. That's insane. Like, the things you can do in Standard these days are just so good. So amazingly good. But yeah, you're seeing the variation here in Grand Prix Milwaukee. You've got 1, 2 Jeskai control decks, 1, 2, 3, 4 Golgari mid-range decks. Is it Phoenix and White Weenie? So it seems like these are pretty much the top 4 decks running Standard right now, and just different iterations of them. So yeah, once again, excuse me. Once again, a great time to be playing Standard. Good variation, awesome, powerful decks, and no shortage of innovation moving forward. Who knows what we're going to see a month from now. So, All right. Well, Greg, that's going to close us out for our news and announcements, but we wanted to talk about something fun for you, our
Yeah.
listeners.
Yeah.
So, Greg and I, we love a couple things. We love being creative, and we love giving stuff away. So, we've had some pretty crazy giveaways in the past. This time, we are going to have a little competition among you listeners. So, Greg, do you want to let them know what we want them to do?
I mean, we want you to make us a card.
Yep.
Now, we're not going to put really any big constraints on this card, but we do want it something that's going to be playable
Right.
and not broken. So don't
Right.
give me a 99.99 with That Such Trample and Word Soup for 1 white.
Right.
And it's a black creature.
Exactly. We want to hear your creativity. Treat this like a mini, designer search, for Wizards of the Coast. But I know that, Greg and I have bounced ideas off each other for cool cards that we would love to see being printed, including,
Yeah.
mechanics that haven't been tapped yet. Magic is a game of so much possibility and creativity. And we know a lot of you listening out there, you have a lot of time on your hands. So if you ever wanted to, get out there a creature, a land, an artifact, a planeswalker, even an instant or sorcery, any card that you can think of, if you give us a design and it's feasible, we will put it into the pot for the drawing to win a series of play sets. Yes, play sets of crazy, insane green 2-drops.
Yeah.
So these 2-drops have had a place in standard and potentially modern, depending on what kind of decks you build. But here we go. First place, we'll start from top down. First place, if we pick your card, you will win a playset of Merfolk Branchwalkers, which have seen quite a bit of play recently in Standard. So, it's a powerful card. It's a good card. Second place, we'll get a playset of Sakura Tribe Elders. Yes, that's right. Greg, what decks are playing Sakura Tribe Elder right now?
I don't know. I think my deck, which is Valakut's playing it right now, but I think it's seeing some other play elsewhere where it's just good starting.
I mean, every green EDH deck is going to run a Sakura Tribe Elder. Am I right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's your second place prize, a play set of Sakura Tribe Elders. Third place, hearkening back to Standard of the Cons Block era, you will win a play set of Satyr Wayfinder. Now, I'm not sure if this has actually seen play in Modern yet, but it is a very powerful card, and I have to believe with the right cards at its side, it could actually pose a potential threat in a Modern deck. But it definitely saw a lot of time in the lights in Standard. It's a great card. Can be used in EDH as well. Very good for recurring. Third place will get a playset of Satyr Wayfinders.
Yeah.
So, get out there with your creativity. Send us your best idea for a Magic the Gathering card. We will pick 3 winners and read them on I don't know. We'll let you know when we're going to be finishing out this contest. Hopefully, we'll get back to you.
Yeah, we don't have a
month.
date on that yet.
Right, but go ahead and send your stuff away. You know what? We'll give you a month at the latest. So, maybe we'll come back within a month and we'll announce the winner. But hopefully, we'll be able to put out an episode before then. But
now,
in the meantime,
there's one other thing I want to bring up on this.
Yes. Please do.
You can get to us on any of our social media or emailing us.
That's right.
There's no reason for you not to be able to get through to us, all right?
Right. So, Greg, why don't you let us know where our listeners can find you?
I mean, I'm on Twitter, and you can find me at NoobSlasher2003.
And I'm on Twitter at MTG_Sean. The show is at The Win Condition. Where can they email us, Greg?
You can email us at thewinconditionpodcast@gmail.com.
And if you really want to go and buy a box of that Ultimate Masters or even some of the singles along with it, you can head on over to Flipside Gaming at flipsidegaming.com, where any order you make over $10, use that promo code WINCONDITION in all caps, save yourself 10% off your purchase, which will help contribute to future show giveaways. All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to be back after a month, man. It's fun talking Magic. I swear, dude.
We're just busy.
We are. Life gets in the way, you know. I've got my
It does.
my new job I'm working on, and hopefully it'll yield some good dividends, and we'll see what happens.
And see,
So-
I'm just stuck in the holidays.
Oh man, it is Thanksgiving coming up tomorrow.
I know, right?
Yep. All right. Well, before we go on too much longer, Greg, thanks again,
Oh yeah, always a pleasure.
and we will talk to y'all